I want to share with you a little personal reflection on this VE Day. News of victory in Europe brought joy to many. It was not the end of all fighting as the war in the Far East continued, but it was a real moment of hope. My paternal grandfather didn't serve in the army in World War II. He'd served in World War I. He'd been a prisoner of war at Cambrai in 1917. During World War II, he kept the payroll going for Rolls Royce workers in Derby as they contributed to the war effort. And Grandma went to work in the special vehicles section of the Midland Railway, helping organise the marshalling of trains. Dad was still at school and then technical college during the war years. He got involved with ARP Warden first aid training, joined the Air Training Corps. On Mum's side of the family, things were a bit different. She'd been adopted by a Will Strickland and his wife. Will was a chief steward serving in the Merchant Navy. In World War I, he'd served in the army in Europe and East Africa. On the 2nd of July 1940, the ship SS Aeneas on which he was serving was attacked by Junkers 87 dive bombers and sunk in the English Channel. And after this, Will signed up to serve under Royal Navy Command. He was assigned to HMS Ranchi, an armed merchantman doing convoy escort and patrol work in the Indian Ocean. In March 1943, Will returned home and was assigned to shore base, partly due to the fact his wife was dying of cancer, partly because of his own health issues. For a while, my mum was evacuated to Pantymwyn in North Wales, but she returned to Merseyside, where her adoptive mother died in August 1945. One of Mum's starkest memories of war years was to be walking to school one day and not meet up with the friend she used to walk with. When she went to look at the house her friend lived in, had been obliterated in the previous night's air raid. Will married again in 1946 to Lydia Sutcliffe Patton, who I always called Nana. Nana had served from March 1942 as a nurse on the hospital ship Abba in the Mediterranean through the North African campaign, the invasions of Sicily and Italy. Nana recalled that on Christmas Day 1942, she saw her younger brother Sid passing in the streets of Alexandria, the only time they saw each other in the whole of World War II. Sadly, Will was lost at sea in May 1948 en route to Australia on SS Antenor. For him, World War II would not have felt over till VJ Day came. He'd escorted convoys on their way into Singapore just before it fell. As I reflect on the contributions of my various grandparents, I'm conscious of the logistical role, managing pay, marshalling trains, ensuring shipping, the protective role of Will on HMS Ranchi, and the caring role, Nana there in the midst of conflict to care for the sick and wounded, to give dignity to the dying and hope to the living. In our present COVID-19 situation, we're grateful for those who ensure our daily needs are provided for those who ensure our safety, those who are there to care for the sick and the suffering. Then and now, there are so many for whose contribution we need to be grateful, and in whose honour we should strive for peace in ourselves, our relationships, our communities, and within and between nations.